Good morning, SKN. I'm Jamie Morris.
And I'm Kortensia.
All right, we begin with a brief look at the weather. We have partly cloudy skies with a 60% or moderate chance of brief passing morning showers. A high of 86 and a low of 70 degrees Fahrenheit. So all in all, a very good day.
Good day indeed. It's very cool this morning. Nice weather.
Yeah, so I don't have to ask you. You are definitely enjoying it.
Definitely enjoying it yourself?
I am. I like it when it's cool, as you know. I like it when it rains too. Brief passing showers. I'll take it. I'll take what I can get.
Anything we'll get, and plus your plants will look nice, right? We begin this morning with the latest in local news. SKN artists virtually showcase stories of courage in the Americas. This from the SKNIS. Several artists in St. Kitts and Nevis are participating in a virtual creative showcase to commemorate the Inter-American Week for the people of African descent in the Americas. The week ran from March 21st to the 25th, 2022 under the theme Stories of Courage in the Americas, Resistance to Slavery and Unity Against Racism. The digital showcase is posted on the Facebook page of the Organization of American States. St. Kitts and Nevis artists are welcome to submit original, pre-existing or new pieces of art that speak to the theme. Submissions can be made at any time up until April 1st, 2022. The showcase is a collaboration between the Organization of American States and the respective departments responsible for youth affairs on St. Kitts and Nevis. Pierre Leiber, director of the Youth Department of the Youth Empowerment, St. Kitts, said he was pleased that more than 30 pieces have been submitted to date to be a part of the showcase. So that's good news for artists. Yeah,
it is. I was looking at the clips as you were reading, and very impressive indeed. All right, our second story comes from Win Media. The number of COVID-19 confirmed deaths in St. Kitts and Nevis moved from 42 to 43 on Monday, March 28, 2022. Having gone 6 consecutive days without any confirmed active COVID-19 cases in the Federation, the COVID-19 report dated Sunday, March 27th showed a change in the information presented on the dashboard. one active case in St. Kitts. However, on the following day, Monday, March 28th, the report showed no active cases and an additional COVID-19 death. Dr. Cameron Wilkinson, Medical Chief of Staff at the Joseph and Franz General Hospital, confirmed the death, noting that an elderly female with pre-existing conditions passed away due to COVID-19 complications. In an interview with WinFM on March 23rd, Dr. Wilkinson said, "While we in St. Kitts and Nevis are beginning to relieve ourselves from the stranglehold that COVID-19 had on every aspect of our lives, and the fourth wave appears to be behind us, the pandemic is not over." He added that with open borders and the Delta Cron, Omicron, and their subvariants, which are still circulating globally, we can see positive cases. The health official reiterated his call for individuals to remain vigilant and continue the use of non-pharmaceutical measures such as sanitizing and the wearing of face masks. So it's not over. Very sad news that our numbers are increasing.
No. And now to prevent the increase, we are still to wear our face masks. We continue now with our third local stories. Preparations on the way to install over 700 LED lights in sporting facilities. This from SKNIS. Numerous sporting facilities across St. Kitts and Nevis will soon be outfitted with new light-emitting diodes LED lights as part of the government's trust to utilize more energy-efficient and cost-effective technologies and upgrade the infrastructure available to the local sporting communities. The installation of the new sports lights is a component of the ongoing project entitled the Street and Floodlight Retrofitting Project, which is financed by a loan through the Caribbean Development Bank and represents a collaborative effort between the Ministries of Sustainable Development, Finance, Public Infrastructure and Sports, as well as St. Kitts Electricity Company, SKELEC, and Nevis Electricity Company, NEVLEC. Permanent Secretary within the Ministry of Sustainable Development, Ms. Roselle Rita Simpson-Brown, said, in the project's initial phase, the federal government invested over EC 4.6 million in the purchase of new LED streetlights, which were successfully installed on both islands over the period 2020 to 2021. The project's second phase was mobilized in June 2021 with the delivery of over 260 LED floodlights for installation at sports facilities on Nevis, followed by the delivery of over 450 LED floodlights in February 2022 for installation at sports facilities in St. Kitts. So everything's going to be better lit.
Yeah, we're bright.
And we will be saving energy in the process.
Absolutely true.
Yeah, so there you have it for the latest in local news. We will be back after this commercial break with Mr. James Weeks. Stay tuned.
When growing your savings, where you save matters more than you think. Dare to compare and see for yourself why you should start saving and investing at First Federal Credit Union. You don't have to settle for cents. Let your money make sense. Reap a higher return by stashing your cash in a high-yield savings account or term deposit and earn up to 4% interest on your money. At First Federal, we say yes.
I need some veggies for dinner. Let me just check the amount of sodium in this can. Oh no, this is too much. Let me try our next option. They did say it's healthy to consume less salt. This is much better. I am salt smart.
Welcome back to Good Morning SKN. We continue now with the latest in regional news. This from Antigua Newsroom. Antigua and Barbuda Attorney General Stedroy Benjamin underscored the importance of legislation which will right an injustice faced by many people in the country. He was at the time debating the Criminal Records Rehabilitation of Offenders Amendment Bill 2022 at a recent sitting of Parliament. Under the legislation, persons who have criminal convictions for minor offenses which mar their record will be able to apply to have their records expunged. According to the Attorney General, his chambers witnesses a steady influx of people who seek intervention to clear their records when they find themselves unable to access opportunities. The Attorney General, Stedroy Benjamin, said, quote, many persons have been writing to the ministry asking for certain offenses to be expunged from their records. Persons commit little crimes like throwing missiles, insulting language, threatening language, and when they apply for a police record, that conviction remains on their records. So, when they go down to Barbados to get visas, they are denied. They can't go to school because they're on their records. Persons studying law. I had 2 young lawyers who want to study law, but because they had driving convictions, one, which was parking within 30 feet from the corner, no law school will take you except your record is completely and totally clean. Wow. End quote. So this is a very good bill.
Parking 30 feet? Oh my gosh, that's rough.
Yeah, maybe you can get away if you park 15. We'll find out. I don't know.
We continue now with the international news. This from CNN Business. Germany issued an early warning of a possible natural gas shortage on Wednesday over a payment dispute with Russia that could lead to energy rationing in Europe's biggest economy. Moscow said last week that it wanted to be paid in rubles rather than US dollars or euros as per existing gas supply contracts and threatened to cut off supplies if that didn't happen. The Kremlin's demand has been rejected by Germany and the G7 group of leading developed economies. The German government said Wednesday that the country had enough gas for now, but it urged all consumers from companies to hospitals and households to reduce their use as far as possible with immediate effect. Economy Minister Robert Habeck said in the statement, there are currently no supply shortages. Nevertheless, we must take further precautionary measures to be prepared for any escalation by Russia. He added, German gas storage is currently filled to 25% capacity. The early warning is the first of 3 alert levels set out in Germany's plan to manage gas supplies in a crisis. If the situation deteriorates, the government would declare an alarm followed by an emergency. At that higher state of alert, regulators can ration gas to maintain supplies to protected customers, such as households and hospitals. Industrial users would be the first to face the cuts. So we gotta ration everything.
It's a game of chess, Kortensia.
Wow.
It is a game of chess.
Even with the gas.
You know what to expect.
Oh,
At least you never know what to expect. Perhaps that's a better way to put it.
Never. And now that we have to find German monies to pay for it.
Rubles.
We will see.
All right, well, that being said, there you have it for the latest. We will be back in a moment with James Weeks. Stay tuned.
These teen boys nowadays get me so upset. I see these teen girls with their big bellies and you want to tell me y'all couldn't protect her and yourself? Come on. Now don't tell me no stupidness about you feel embarrassed about getting a pack of condoms or asking somebody for one. That ain't nothing to be ashamed about. You should be proud that you are making a wise decision, but you still have to abstain from having sex with someone under the age of consent. If your boys are pressuring you to have sex and you don't want to, then don't. You are in charge of your life, not them. I heard another one saying it's sweeter without a condom. But my granny always told me, no glove, no love. So let me tell you something. It's sweeter to have money in your pockets and not have to support a child at that young age. Before I say anything else, the best way to prevent teenage pregnancy is to abstain. In other words, no do it. Let me talk to the big men troubling underage girls.
Why you sleeping with your daughter? You not live clean. Your girl at 16 and your daughter at 13. So girl look me, but me no in that. Big man no deal with back pan back.
You understand where I'm coming from, right?
This message was brought to you by Project Viola through the Department of Gender Affairs with support from the Basic Needs Trust Fund and the Caribbean Development Bank.
I wear a mask because I want to protect my child, but also I want to protect his classmates and his teachers.
I wear a mask because I care about the frontline workers who will have to work even harder if those around me get sick.
I wear a mask to protect my family. I wear a mask to protect you. I wear a mask because it is the right thing to do.
I wear a mask because I don't want to put any vulnerable individuals at risk, like my elderly loved ones.
I wear a mask because
we are all in this together.
Consuming excess salt can lead to heart attack, high blood pressure, and even stroke, and other health-related conditions such as kidney disease.
Greetings, my lovely people. I'm Chantel, residing in Taiwan. 12 hours time difference. It's nighttime here, morning time in SK. I'm busy and on the go. However, I always manage to keep up to date with what's happening in SK. All thanks to Good Morning SKN. Good morning SKN. Ciao bango!
Welcome back to Good Morning SKN. Last Sunday, the 27th March, the St. Kitts and Nevis Cross-Channel Swim returned after a 2-year hiatus. A total of 139 swimmers participated in this arduous swim. Among them were 7 children whose ages range from 10 years old to early teens. These children were trained by James Weeks, and many were impressed as all 7 of them completed the swim from Owali Beach, Nevis to Cockleshell in St. Kitts. Today we warmly welcome swim coach James Weeks to Good Morning SKN to hear more about this. Good morning, Mr. Weeks, and welcome. Okay, so I'm going to go right into the questions since I'm uber excited about this. During the race, you were in a kayak alongside your trainees. Now, how did you manage to motivate them whilst doing this, or whilst being in the kayak?
The motivation actually was weeks before.
Okay.
Or should I say months before? Because if I'm only able to motivate them on the day, it's too late.
Okay.
So in weeks leading up to this thing, this event, I would have been able to know who I can choose to do this swim, because 7 of them, that's not the entire group.
Okay.
You know, that was only the 7 that was chosen. The 7 that I thought was strong enough, fit enough, and motivated enough to do the swim.
So I'm curious.
So I would have.
No, sorry. Go ahead, sir. No, please continue.
So I would have known from their training that these 7 is ready. So the motivation would have been there prior to that. So I tried different things to see if I can shake their enthusiasm, right? But after I realized, okay, they are fully, decided and looking forward to it, and nothing I said, to try to shake their stability was working, then I know, okay, these kids are ready. So I would give them some vigorous training. I would try to get into their heads to see, if something like this come up, what they would do, and so on. So I got them to the point where there was nothing that could deter them from doing this swim.
All right, so I have to ask, concerning the training, we are talking obviously about a swim from Owali Beach to Cockleshell Bay. And I want to know, in training these 7 youngsters, in addition to the others, how were you able to do that? Did you actually take them from Owali Beach to Cockleshell before, or did you simulate that?
Well, what I did leading up to that is we never did the actual swim from Nevis to St. Kitts, right? But what I did was I would do close to the distance, but I would take them into waters that would kind of simulate the similar effect. you know, and give them like, I would give them drills to do that would even work them harder than that swim. Because if you train harder than your event, then, you know, you can easily make adjustments to suit the event that's coming up and not on the train. And then when the event comes, you find out, okay, this is even harder than my training. So I do the opposite. Work hard now and take it easy later on. That's why you're able to see them running out of the water like they didn't even do very much, still feeling nice and calm.
And ready to go again. Back to
Ready to go again.
So I was asking you prior to our interview, how did you learn to swim? And when did you get into competitive swimming?
Well, I used to do what we call your normal, you know, jump in the water and swim kind of thing. You know, being with the older guys, being on the pier, like in the castle and different places, they'll push you off, right? And you can't swim, but you just know how to kind of keep your head above water. They'll push you over and you cry your way into shore. Somehow you get into shore. And being young and you know, you go back on the pier again, and the same thing is going to happen all the time. But in so doing, it creates it creates this thing where you gotta survive, even though it hurts and you're crying all the time. You keep going back for more, so it makes you stronger each time. And so, with that background, I end up starting to do a lot of like we go spearfishing and different kind of things like that. So it kind of helped from that standpoint. But then I took up cycling, and after taking up cycling, then for the president then would indicate that, okay, we're gonna start doing triathlon, which was being held in St. Kitts. But I only know how to swim that style where you just get from A to B. However you get from A to B, that's how you used to go to swim. Mm-hmm. But in doing that, I recognized early that I had a weakness in swimming, because I would bike very well and I was a super runner, but my weak point was the swim. So I would come out the water almost last, get on my bike, catch back up, I'll reach back up to like the first 10, and then on the run, I'll catch everybody, because I had this thing, if I can see you, I can catch you. Mm-hmm. So I would win, but I would win being very exhausted, because I had to work harder on the bike and harder to run. So then I was encouraged to start to, you know, learn swimming, where one of my teammates, not living here, from overseas, he said, look, you could be a very good triathlete, but you need to learn how to swim. So he started showing me some pointers and so on. You know, every day he would take me and show me how to do his particular moves and strokes and so on. And then I started building on that. And my swimming started to get better. And after I realized, okay, the swimming is getting better, so the race came easier. You know, winning a race became easier. I feel better doing races because I don't have to work so hard in the swim. And because back then the swim was like I'm swimming just to survive it. Okay. But then after a while, it was not a survival swim. It was a race swim. So everything started to work together. And so then I was also encouraged by the president to do some courses. So I did some courses in training, coaching courses, which I took very seriously. And as time went along, I decided, okay, the races started to get more and more, if I may say, intense. And so we started traveling to the neighboring islands and countries to participate. And that, in doing that, I became like very good at it. So I would go like to Grenada, Antigua, St. Martin, Trinidad, Tobago, you know, all these islands around about. And every time I go, I always on the podium. Mm-hmm. So then, as time goes along, it came to a point where, okay, I became a very good triathlete. And at some point, I backed away, decided, okay, I'm going to start to give back to the community. Mm-hmm. So I kind of retired, only make my appearance certain times, certain events. And I focus a lot on teaching and coaching little kids or whoever, doesn't matter the age group, from 5 to 99. So I started doing that for the joy of it, watching these kids and everybody else who come, progress from strength to strength. And then I became more, focused and trying to give to these kids a lot of what I may not have been exposed to. I actually got to the level of World Championship. I went to World Championship triathlon and all that. So, I went on the big stage. And so when I came down from the big stage, I decided I'm going to see how much people I can get on the big stage, because it's kind of lonely at the top. So then I started focusing on these kids. So I've been doing this for many years. I did the cross country swim a couple of times. The first time I did it in a time of about 1:45. And seeing that result on Sunday, where the first one did it in 1:35 or something like that, it impressed me because my first time was 1:45. And that was like my survival swim, doing it because I was encouraged to do it, right? So I fought my way over, but these kids are not fighting their way over. These kids are swimming and enjoying it, because I've been like with them all the way, and I'm talking with them, having conversation with them. They would stop swimming, they would talk to me, because I got to check to see if everything is going good, how they're feeling, if I can offer them any little tips or anything. But these kids, all they're doing is sometimes they're swimming and they see me next to them, they just give me the thumbs up. And I just move on to find the other one, and they give me the thumbs up. They look at me and give me the thumbs up. So I know these kids were having a grand time. At the end,
they seem to have reason to look up to you, as you said. You're at the podium. It's lonely at the top, and you're motivating them to even do better than you. So we'll be back to talk with you a little more about that when we come back after this brief break. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen.
Bless up, Dejo here, and I'm doing my part in the fight against COVID-19 by following all safety protocols and, most importantly, rolling up my sleeve for the vaccine. So I'm encouraging you to do the same, because that's our best shot of protecting ourselves, our family, and our friends. So don't wait, vaccinate. Let's roll up to roll out.
It's only just a phase. Once we're vaccinated, and everybody gonna be safe. Everybody gonna be safe. One kind, yeah. One people. We are roll up to roll up, yeah. 'Cause no man's alone. Do what's right, alright. 'Cause I love you, brother, my sister, and we're in this together, my sister, my brother. I don't wanna lose you. I love you too much. I think it's better for us, yeah. It's better for us. Hey, I don't wanna lose you. I love you too much, yeah. It's better for us. Tell your mommy to let it roll out.
You can lower your salt intake by reducing salty foods, removing table salt, and using salt alternatives when cooking.
Welcome back to Good Morning SKN. We are speaking with Coach James Weeks. We're talking all about the recent St. Kitts Nevis cross-channel swim from Oali Beach to Cockleshell Bay. And Mr. Weeks, earlier you said that you selected 7 people to participate, 7 young children. I think their ages are from 10 to preteens or early teens. What can you tell us about them personally? Who are they? What were their times, if you could remember?
Okay, well, let me see. This, I will give you the names and time. This is not in the order, you know, but I have a list here, which is, I had Justin, which did a time of 1:35. I have Rishikesh, which did a time of 1:38. Anwar did a time of 1:46, Baju 1:50, Skylar, which is the only female, she did 1:51, and Abhijit did 1:55, Jackson did 2:17.
Okay.
Oh, that's great. You must be proud. I was thinking when you said that your time was bettered by your student, it must have been both a moment of pride for you, but also a moment of humility.
No, you see, what made me proud is that, okay, I did that swim based on information that I would have had by myself, which means I had to train myself. So I wasn't at the level that they are at now. I was not at that level. Okay, because I just did that swim because I know how to keep my head above water, and I know how to get from A to B, and that was basically my idea of swimming. Get from A to B alive. But these kids, the preparation, the way I prepared them is not to get from A to B and then lay down flat and panting like dogs and trying to catch their next meal, right? What I did was I prepared them for the task ahead. So they would have been trained to do the swim and not hit their red zone where they start to think that they are now trying to survive. They were trained to do the swim in their nice and relaxed zone. So that's why I can pull up next to them in the kayak and we can have a conversation because they're still in the aerobic zone. I say, look, when you get like 1 kilometer to the finish or anything, or somewhere in that region about, you can go as hard as you can. But when you leave from Nevis, stay in your zone. Don't try to keep up with the others because there's going to be a lot of splashing and dashing and tumbling over each other at the beginning. Don't get carried away with that. You maintain and stay in your zone. Get out the bay, and then you can start to make shift, because then you will be in your nice little sweet spot, and you stay in your sweet spot. Don't burn all your matches trying to get out with everybody else, because you're going to pay for it halfway.
I'm just marveled by the fact that you were able to have a conversation, Kortensia. I could barely have a conversation when I'm standing. Never mind swimming across the channel.
One of them had a problem with the goggles. Say goggles is leaking. So I stopped and we had a conversation. I said, okay, this is what happened to the goggles. Actually, the goggles was halfway on the cap. The cap was under the goggles, so it was leaking there. Okay. So I had to fix that, to help him fix that, and so on, and then change his goggles so that he would feel like, okay, it's he feel more confident to use the different goggles than to just fix the problem that was there. And then that was it. I had a conversation. Everything good. You feel good now? Okay.
Good to go.
Give me the thumbs up, and took off again.
Okay. So, Mr. Weeks, how long have you been a swim coach? And if, say, myself and Jamie and other persons wanted to contact you, how can we get in contact with you?
Okay, I have been a swim coach since about 2000. So that's a long time.
22 years.
I don't think you look any worse for the wear.
Yeah, somewhere around the early 2000s or somewhere around there. Yeah, so when now I'm thinking about it, that's a long time. So it's about time I pull something out of the bag. Okay, yeah. So, well, my contact information is my phone number actually is 765-9651.
Okay.
That's 765-9651. I almost think I forgot my number. See, I don't use it. Everybody else uses it. I don't use it.
Well, I figure if you want to get in contact with people, you can swim around the two islands anyway, so you'll be fine.
Yeah, just tell me where you're at. Tell me where you're at. You know? Be on the coastline somewhere. I'll get to you.
All right, so I have to ask now, the children are obviously young, but they are off to a great start in terms of their swimming ability. Since you are yourself winner of the 2019 Nevis Triathlon, is there any plan to have them participate in that? Have they discussed that with you? Have their parents talked about that with you?
Well, if and when there is another triathlon, because actually we've been having conversation about that constantly, you know, they would do not just like a full triathlon, but we have something that we call a tri-a-tri, which is a much shorter course, so that it kind of like introduce you to the pain, if I may say so, you know, because it is painful. Because you can be an excellent swimmer. So you can go and you swim the course and, you know, you come out the water ahead of everybody else, but then you start hurting you on the bike because you're not that good of a biker. Or you may be a good biker, a good swimmer, but you're terrible at running. So somewhere you're going to find that pain. But it's nice when you are well-rounded. That comes again with a lot of training, a lot of focus training. Make your strong point stronger and make your weak point stronger. So you want to be balanced. Okay. Once you're balanced, you're okay. But you will have you have at least one or maybe two areas where you are really good at. So even though you are a very good runner and you are not a good swimmer, what happens is that you're going to be forced to work hard on the swim. And if you allow your mind to push you into that direction, you will suffer in the area that you are good at because you push too hard in the area that you are not good at. So it compromises your strong point. So it's a lot of, it's a lot of training to kind of balance that out, because when things get going, when the whistle blow, I mean, you just want to go, but you got to realize that, okay, this is where I'm not so strong. So let me back off so that when I get to the point where I'm strong, I can hit it 200% and make up from where I lost.
All right,
so if you want to go hard for each one, you're going to get in trouble.
So it's too early to tell yet whether we'll see them participating in the tri-a-tri. But what I do have to say, Mr. Weeks, is that it's been very engaging talking to you. We unfortunately are out of time, but we want to thank you for taking time away from your swimming schedule. Normally I would say busy schedule, but in your case, your swimming schedule. Thank you for taking time to speak with us this morning. Congratulations again on a very good job, and we look forward to speaking with you in the future.
Yeah, sure. Just let me know. I'll be here. I'm not going anywhere. Can't swim too fast these days.
All right, we definitely will. You're watching Good Morning SKN, everyone. Stay tuned.
Let's face it, most parents or guardians don't want to think about their teens having sex, let alone contemplate the possibility that they might get pregnant or get someone pregnant. Teenage pregnancy is a situation that involves female adolescents. A teenage female can be pregnant as early as age 12 or 13, although it is usually 14 and older. The fact that teenagers become pregnant is related to many factors. Here are some tips to decrease teen pregnancy. Teach teenagers comprehensive sex education. Target messages at teen boys, not just girls. Get the whole community involved. Encourage mentoring, parental involvement, and support. This message was brought to you by Project Viola through the Department of Gender Affairs with support from the Basic Needs Trust Fund and the Caribbean Development Bank.
Did you know that there are certain seasonings that contain more salt than you actually need? There are more natural, healthier ways to reduce the salt intake in your dishes by using natural things like onions, garlic, seasoned peppers, and even thyme and merengue powder.
Has anyone ever touched you here, here, or here? Well, these are actually bad touches, not good ones. And so, if anyone ever touches you in these areas or anywhere else that makes you uncomfortable, you must say no, then go and tell. Say it with me. Say no, then go and tell.
This message was brought to you by the Department of Gender Affairs in collaboration with Probation and Child Protection Services, the Ministry of Health, and the Pan American Health Organization.
When growing your savings, where you save matters more than you think. Dare to compare and see for yourself why you should start saving and investing at First Federal Credit Union. You don't have to settle for cents. Let your money make sense. Reap a higher return by stashing your cash in a high-yield savings account or term deposit and earn up to 4% interest on your money. At First Federal, we say yes.
Most people consume excess salt from processed foods, such as snack foods, processed meats, instant meals, and condiments.
Instead, use fresh vegetables, ground provision, fresh meats, and natural herb seasonings, just like our grandparents did, and just like you did with this soup. We are Salt Smart.
It's been 6 months now and Glenn hasn't been working. His attitude has completely changed and he's been leaving the house every day for hours and liming with his friends and coming home drunk and causing confusion.
Gloria, this is what you cook today? This is not enough food for a big man like me.
But Glenn, it's been 6 months now. You haven't given me any money to shop for food.
Okay, so what you want me to do if my boss ain't called me out for work as yet?
Look for a different job now.
What you just said to me?
Get a next job.
What?
Help! Let me
Let
go!
go what? Yeah, let's see what we like. Let go what? Watch your mouth with me now.
Every weekend, Mom and Dad fight. When are they going to stop?
Domestic violence is not just physical, it's mental, emotional, economical, and psychological. If you, your friend or family member is being abused, you can contact one of the numbers listed below for help. Department of Gender Affairs 662-5492, Special Victims Unit 662-7077, Counseling Unit 465-5000. This message was brought to you by the Department of Gender Affairs in collaboration with the Ministry of Health and the Pan American Health Organization.
No cash, no card, no problem. Dad, embrace the freedom.
Where are you going? I just mopped the floor and now the chair leaving marks all over the place. Come on, go in bed, see? Sometimes I just can't take you on.
Violence is expressed in many ways. Most, unfortunately, go unreported or unaddressed for many reasons. If you or someone disabled is being abused, contact the police at 465-2241, social services at 467-1314, or the St. Kitts Nevis Association of Disabled Persons at 465-2151, 663-9077, or 663-4116. This message was brought to you by the Department of Gender Affairs in collaboration with the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO.
Welcome back to Good Morning SKN. The 2021 Population and Housing Census is scheduled to be rolled out in April by the Department of Statistics in the Ministry of Sustainable Development. Today we have three special guests who are here to tell us more about what can be expected from this year's census. We welcome happily Carlton Phipps, Director of Statistics, Samantha Huggins-Watley, who is in charge of advocacy and communications, and Cornel Williams, social statistician and my old high school, college buddy. So, welcome to Good Morning SKN.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, it's great to have you talking about something that's so very important, and I know that you don't normally get the publicity that you deserve, so let's bring the conversation to you in this way. Tell us about the open day that you had last Friday to, as I think it was dubbed, educating the public on the upcoming census.
Last Friday, we hosted our first census drive, as we named it. That was held downstairs our building in the Total Concepts parking lot, where we had on display educational material, which were in the form of brochures, where we gave definition of the population and housing census, enumerators, and what's not. The general public was they engaged greatly with us that day. We had students also from the Bastia High School as well come over, where they engaged with the staff that was down there on one-on-one as well, where we gave them information, the pertinent information concerning the census, and also the importance of the census and why everyone should participate.
All right, well, you know you're not going to get away. Perhaps you can turn to the thorns and to the rows between them today. But in terms of that pertinent information, what can you tell us, if you can proceed? Cornel.
As to what are some of the areas that we cover? Well, the census is almost all-encompassing. We profile the country, Federation, St. Kitts and Nevis, so we look at things such as the age and sex of the population. We want to know, are you employed, unemployed? We actually look at the conditions of your living. What type of materials are there for the house, your roof, your walls? How many rooms are there? All of this is geared simply at trying to ascertain the living conditions of the public so we can provide that information so policy planning decisions can be made to improve the lives of everyone here in St. Kitts and Nevis.
Wow, that's so very important. I never even thought of that you got to such a granular level. Yeah. Interesting. Director, you're very quiet. And I know that you're not shy.
So as you started out talking about the 2021 population housing census, we're now in 2022. Yes, we were really scheduled to conduct the census last year, but because of the COVID-19 situation, we had to push it back. So now that cases are low, we're ready to go out into the field and start collecting such information. The data that we have on hand was collected in 2011, that's now 11 years old. So we really need to update our estimates on the population. We need to have an update in terms of the situation, in terms of the demographic characteristics of our population. That is what we are about to do now, so we are reaching out to the public to let them know that we are ready to come out in the field to collect such information.
Okay, so I see with this census, you're going to use tablets to collect the information. Was this form of technology used before, or was it always paper?
For previous censuses, it has been paper.
Okay.
However, we would have had some practice, or say initial practice, having done the country poverty assessment. We did that in 2018, and we used the tablets.
Okay. So
that gave us the ground to spread this to a bigger side, because that was a survey, but now we're doing a census where you have to do everybody. So it's on a larger scale. I don't think we would have attempted anything like this if we didn't have that forerunner to give us the practice and the experience of working with the devices. So, but I would say it is very interesting. Cornel has been doing the training with the tablets. He's responsible for our training and field activities, so you could say a little more in terms of that experience.
Well, the first question is why tablets? Picture yourself asking somebody quite a few questions. I won't give a number to scare anyone. And these questions are, your responses guide your next question and the next question and the next question. So you have to be able to move between responses. If you say yes, then this is where you go. If you say no, this is where you go. That's the first thing. Secondly, you're capturing all of this information on paper and you have to transfer this to an electronic form. This is an error-ridden process. So using the tablet, we've got a software called Survey Solution, which makes it very much easier. It skips and moves for you. So you no longer have to verify, am I going the right way? The software guides you. It's already in an electronic format. So you're skipping a few steps in getting to the point where you're actually able to get information out that you can then pass on to the public and to the policymakers, etc. So the tablets make it much faster, much easier, and actually more accurate for us.
All right, so I'm curious, does this save at all? I know it saves in time, but does it save at all on the manpower that you have to devote to the field?
To some degree, yes. You still need to cover the entirety of the population, but given that you can manipulate and move fast in asking the questions, capturing your responses, you can actually make the decision that you can have one person do a larger area or a number of areas as opposed to one for one, because it takes so much longer.
So it's definitely more efficient.
Yes,
definitely.
So the theme for this year's census, it's me, you, and us. Anyone? And why 2021 and not 2022 though?
Okay, 2021, because that is when the census was really supposed to happen. But because of COVID, the pandemic, and the cases, we had to push it back. So because the cases now are lower, we are about to go into the field. We want to take this opportunity to know that we don't have that high level of cases to now proceed with the census. That's why. So we still kept the name 2021 Census. The slogan, it's me, you, us, 2021 Census. That we would have had our competitions in 2020 before we did our pre-listing exercise. And that slogan jumped out at us because it encompassed the full meaning of the census. It's me, you, us. 2021 census means it includes everybody, because everybody must be counted and everybody has to participate in order for the census to be a success. For us to get the real information that we need in order for policy changes and what's not to be done properly. So it's me, you, us, 2021 census encompasses everyone.
I like that you're shedding light on that, because a lot of times we think of policy decisions being made and we say, okay, they're guided by decisions, but we don't see the work that goes into getting the data to inform those decisions. So thank you for shedding light on that. We'll be back to continue this discussion in a moment. Stay tuned, everyone.
As a hypertensive patient, in my home, I reduce salt intake by not adding salt during the preparation of my food, not having a salt shaker on my table, limiting the consumption of salty snacks, and choosing products with low sodium content. That's why I am salt smart.
Did you know that there are certain seasonings that contain more salt than you actually need? There are more natural, healthier ways to reduce the salt intake in your dishes by using natural things like onions, garlic, seasoned peppers, and even thyme and merengue powder.
Children, how can you tell a tsunami coming?
Teacher me.
Sammy?
My mother said, when uncle jump in the pool and the water spoosh out, that's how you tell a tsunami coming.
Settle down, children, settle down. Do you remember our tsunami song?
Yes!
Mommy, Uncle not here in the other shake.
Hush your mouth.
Daddy, Uncle not here and the sea gone.
Who cares? You don't see all them free fish? Quick, give me the bag.
This is how you tell a tsunami a come. Teacher says so. I would have failed in school, you know.
Sammy, come, let me go. They would have failed anyhow. Let me run, see, Sammy?
No cash, no card, no problem. Dad, embrace the freedom.
And we're back on Good Morning SKN. We continue our discussion with three persons from the Department of Statistics, Carlton Phipps, Director of Statistics, Samantha Huggins-Wally, who is in charge of Advocacy and Communications, and Cornel Williams, Social Statistician. Before we continue, let's look at a clip of an animation that was one of the methods used by the Statistics Department to sensitize individuals about the census.
It's better if everybody give information on their behalf. Personally, I want to give my information because I know my information better than anybody else. I suggest you do the same.
Okay. You expect them to question the children too?
Well, they won't question the children, but I'll be able to give all the necessary information on the children.
Well, you seem to know plenty. Tell me more about the census thing.
The census information is used to make important decisions that affect everybody. To decide on healthcare, education, pension, jobs, and so on, they use census information.
2021 is census year. Be ready to give your full participation.
Census? What is that, Granny?
That's when all the people in the country are counted and other information collected so that we all can have information about us.
Well, Granny, you better make sure you take part.
2021 is census year. Be ready to give your full participation.
I am glad I was there to take part in the last two censuses. I have seen over the years how things have changed. They even come a long way with how the data is collected. Now I see they're using tablets to enter data. This is really the technology age.
What is that? What is that? Saragana?
Don't worry, June. When the time comes, we will answer on your behalf.
2021 is census year. Be ready to give your full participation.
So there was simulation and there was animation.
Yes.
Before you answer, was the animation used to reach the children, and were there any other methods that were used to sensitize the public?
Sorry. The animation was used to reach the general public, basically, because we know some of the adult population do lean towards animation as well. Other methods that we use to sensitize the public, we would have had an interview yesterday with ZIZ, where we discussed the importance of the census as well, our upcoming events. Previously, we would have had our official launch, which was held on the 11th of March. Then that same week, we would have had paraphernalia drop-offs at all the primary and high schools in St. Kitts, where information was given to the children, because we know children get information, they take it home to their parents, and that's when they have the discussion with their parents, like, Mommy, what is a census? Can you speak more of that? So that was one of the important aspects that we did. Tomorrow we will be in the industrial site area, sensitizing the workers there. We also had our informational booth, I think it was 2 Fridays ago in downtown Bassett here, where we also sensitized the general public on the importance of the census. So we are really out in the field trying to garner the support of the general public and sensitize them on the importance of the census and the fact that the information that they will give us will remain confidential, because we know persons can be very tricky when it comes to their personal information. So we want them to know that, yes, you're going to give it to us, and yes, it will remain confidential. Also, we have upcoming island-wide drive-thrus where we're going to go around the island sensitizing the general public as well. So in all of this, we are hoping that the general public will understand the importance of the census and will give us their full cooperation. Yes. Very good.
It's a major undertaking, I have to say.
Yes.
When we begin to talk about the enumerators, do you have a sense of how many enumerators you will be using in the training and how they'll be deployed?
The number is around 160 enumerators that will be responsible for collecting this information. Additionally, you have supervisors to ensure that these persons do their job efficiently and completely. They're deployed, I would have mentioned earlier, enumeration districts. We've broken down the entirety of the island of St. Kitts and also Nevis, every parish into smaller, more manageable areas called EDs. And each person is assigned one of these EDs, and they're responsible for ensuring every single household, every single building actually is captured and information is provided for. Buildings, households, every single person in that area. So once everyone does their job, every ED is covered, we would have captured all of St. Kitts and all of Nevis.
And that training has been completed already?
Ongoing.
I mean, it's ongoing.
We're ongoing. So we would have started in Nevis. We would have trained some 90 persons in Nevis. And we've had the first wave of training in St. Kitts as well, where some 80 persons were trained. And we are currently this week training another 80 persons, give or take, supervisors and enumerators. So once we're finished, we should have in excess of 200 persons in the field between St. Kitts and Nevis, going door to door, house to house, person to person, and hopefully capturing every single person in St. Kitts and Nevis.
Okay. So, Mr. Phipps, if I wanted to sign up to be an enumerator or anyone else, does that opportunity still exist, or it's closed already?
Yeah, that opportunity is basically closed. As I said, we would have placed an ad for persons to apply back in February to apply to be enumerator, and based on the persons who would have applied, those are the ones that we have started working with in terms of training. And then we see how we go from there, because there may be 1 or 2 persons who may drop out because they find a job, even though they started with an interest, would have found it unmanageable. We're hoping that we don't have too many of those. But such is the case, then we would have to fill in. So we are constantly contingency planning in terms of ensuring that we have enough persons so we can get this done in a timely manner. We don't want to be out there for any extended period of time. We have set basically 2 months, April, May, to complete the data collection, and we want to see as much as possible that we can stick to this. Of course, we are limited by devices. Probably if you were doing paper, it would have give us a little more opportunity so we could add more persons, but then that creates problems at the end where you have to do all the data entry of this paper information. So we are working the situation as we go along. Thank you.
All right, I just have to ask this particular question. This is 2022, we're conducting census 2021. When will the next census be held, and what will it be
Do you have an
Well, given no other pandemic of this sort, that the next census should be back in 2031.
Oh, so it's every 10 years.
So it's every 10 years. We conduct the census every 10 years.
That'll be 9 years after, just to set the record straight.
But you do know, if I could add to that if you go back to previous censuses, we were doing it on a zero. So 1970, 1980. I think there were some issues there between 90 and 91 that we probably were not quite ready, so it shifted to 91, and then we did 2001, 2011. So we sort of stick on the one. But I know I won't be around for the next census. Maybe my colleagues decide to change it back to the 0. Or we see how that goes.
I won't ask you what that means. I'll save it for the questionnaire that Cornel will be distributing.
Definitely.
All right. So thank you so much for joining us and sensitizing us and the general public.
It was a pleasure indeed.
Yes.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you
very much.
Awesome.
We'll be back in a moment, everyone. Stay tuned.
Self-health management refers to the measures people take to manage their own health. You and I should remember to wash hands often with soap and water, or use alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Avoid touching your eyes, mouth, and nose. Take your temperature morning and evening. Watch for symptoms. Persons with diabetes or hypertension are reminded to take your medication regularly as prescribed. If you have no symptoms, you may carry out your normal routine and boost your immune system. When you are outside, avoid public spaces and wear a mask at all times. If you develop symptoms, put on a mask and seek medical care. Do not take public transportation. Inform the doctor of your travel history, any contact with confirmed or suspected cases, your occupation, and whether anyone around you has similar symptoms. If you become ill, please rest at home. Wear a mask and isolate yourself from others in your household. If you share a bathroom, disinfect daily using 1 part bleach to 10 parts water. Everyone must work together to reduce the spread of the coronavirus.
Everyone is encouraged to adopt a healthy and positive approach to daily life. Here are a few friendly reminders.
When you go to the local market and food vendors, remember to maintain a social distance of 6 feet or 2 meters apart. And always wear your mask.
Always keep your hands clean. Wash your hands with soap and water, or use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer.
When dining, choose restaurants with staggered seating. This will lower the risk of transmission.
If you have a fever, cough, or other respiratory symptoms, please wear a mask and seek medical care immediately. Rest at home and do not visit the food vendors, local markets, or restaurants.
No cash, no card, no problem. Jad, embrace the freedom.
I'm here to say kids, Nevis, you don't know for us I represent for the Ministry of Health. Yeah. Respect the COVID protocols. In a time like this, All for one for all. St. Kitts Nevis. Don't forget your mask. Wear it everywhere you go. Sanitize before and after everything you do. Cause you never know what's on the surface or the places you go. Maintain a safe social distance between me and you. Keep calm and stay focused. Don't be a fool, seek the facts first. And boost your immune system up. Don't wanna lose no more of us. Mask up, furlough, sanitize. Observe the protocols all about. Be wise. Mask up, furlough, sanitize. Me family fitting boat.
Blessed love and greetings. This is Infamous, and I am here to encourage every Kittitian and Nivision to remember that we have our part to play in the fight against COVID-19. So sanitize, wear your face mask, practice social distancing, and go and get vaccinated. For me no know about you, but me love think it's bad. Easy no man.
Welcome back to
You're
Good
singing. Did you get that, guys?
Yes,
The glitch? She's singing for the intro. And there's a reason for it.
It's time to loosen up. As we do this, we will discuss what, in our opinions, are timeless songs. So my song, Peebo Bryson and Regina Bell. You remember that song?
You got to say what it is, because
A Whole New World.
Excuse me. Okay.
It's from the movie Aladdin.
Of course I remember.
Yeah, I love that song.
Of course I remember. Who doesn't love Peebo Bryson?
A whole new world.
We got a different breed of singers these days. But definitely, Peebo Bryson, good. I have his Christmas CD, and I play it, but once a year. Or once every 2 years, if I'm being truthful to the census. I'm always out of time.
No, I didn't. Show up for the census.
Yes, so definitely that. One of my favorite songs, and I call it timeless because I can listen to it at any point in time, and I just feel good. It's not even on the list, but I'll give you what's on the list here. Natalie Imbruglia, Wrong Impression.
I don't sing that song.
Remember Natalie Imbruglia was the girl in the, I think, 90s and early 2000s who sang the word torn, the song Torn. And it's acoustic, she's got the guitar, it's soft rock. Okay, you have no idea what I'm talking about. Mostly because those songs never really played on the radio here. But hey.
Not that song, right? Not I'm a little torn.
Yes, that same one.
Oh,
so
that.
Wrong Impression by her, yeah, is the one that I like.
Well, not because he's in the news or anything, but this song is forever iconic.
What?
The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Oh, you like that one?
The theme song, yeah.
Oh no,
he has an entire song. You know that, right? There's an entire song.
Oh, no, there is. Okay.
They only use some of it for the show.
You know what I'm
but there is an entire song. So
you know what I'm
going
to say to that? Na 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 na.
You're not getting jiggy with it, huh?
I love jiggy with it. That should have been on my list. But yeah, you brought Will there. Yeah, definitely love it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we're sticking to R&B for me. Next timeless song.
Endless
Guess what?
love.
You get it. It's in the title. It's Endless Love. It never ends. Luther Vandross and Mariah Carey, both sensational singers.
Yep.
Great voices. I can't even compliment them enough. It's a shame Luther's no longer here with us, but his voice will live on.
And his songs will live on.
Oh yeah.
As just like Michael Jackson lives on, no matter where he goes, and Prince, etc., etc.
Mariah, though. Mariah, if you're watching, hi. I'm Jamie.
I
was jealous of Nick Cannon for a while, but that's fine. We're all good now.
He is putting himself out there. Now, Chris DeBerg. Do you know Chris DeBerg?
No,
do you know
not
the song?
at all.
Lady in Red.
That song I know. Yeah.
Yeah, and that song got popular in 1968, I think, or 86. Am I mixing up numbers? I think it's 86. And he wrote that song as homage to his wife, Diane. she used to come and watch him sing at his parents' hotel. And those two have been married since 1977.
Wow.
Look at that. Goals.
Did we hear about that in the news?
Wow.
Did we hear about people who survived the 7-year itch and the 17-year whatever I'm going to make it into and the 20s? And no, we don't hear about those, but that's good. They exist. They're not legends. They actually
They're
exist.
still married.
All right, great. When you mentioned that song, you reminded me of another one of my favorite artists who's not on the list, so I'll just throw him in there and then get to the one that is. Simply Red, So Not Over You. Simply Red. You've heard songs by Simply Red. Google it. But definitely the voice. Great. All right, so the next one on my list officially is, yes, another one who's not here with us, but that voice. Whitney Houston, Jesus Loves Me. You would think I would say that, but no, the Jesus Loves Me one. I got her album, the soundtrack from The Bodyguard, and that was when we were still using cassettes. I'm dating myself. Do you young people even know what cassettes are? Anyway, back when that
Maybe they
came
know
out,
about CDs. Maybe they know about CDs, yeah.
Back when that came out, I got a hold of the soundtrack from The Bodyguard with Kevin Costner, and I played it, and I played it, and I played it, walking with my Walkman and those big headphones, and I played it, and I'm on the street at 4 o'clock going to work with a family friend. This is in New York, and streets deserted. I'm comforted by
your music.
Whitney Houston, yes, Jesus Loves Me.
Nice.
Well, you got a good one lined up.
Yeah, Stevie Wonder. I just call to say I love you. Look at that.
Do people just do that anymore? Do people still do that? Do you guys still do that? You just call to say I love you? Because normally it's like, hey, I want something.
Well, you say send the I miss you basket or I messed up basket. So then we can send I love you.
Yeah, you can.
Basket as well.
You could also send the emoji. It doesn't cost you a thing. Right. There you go. Technology being what it is. You mentioned Stevie Wonder, and one of my favorite songs from him, and I realized that it was him because I heard a cover by one of my favorite jazz artists, Sophie Millman, Juno Award-winning jazz artist. She covered his song Rocket Love. And that's when I went back to the original. Stevie Wonder on Rocket Love. Amazing. Amazing. So not just, I just called to say I love you, but if you really get into his music, lyrics, melody, everything is great. All right, so the last one that I have on my list, and I'm pretty sure that we can find some more if we need to, is Lisa Loeb's Stay.
The song, I don't know. How does it sound?
You say. Ever heard that? I only hear what I want to. Okay, you guys gotta look this up. Are you kidding?
No.
This is so timeless, honestly.
I gotta Google that when I go home. But next song from Stevie Wonder that still plays until today, everywhere you go. Who sings a happy birthday song? Happy birthday to you.
You're right.
Yeah, that's his song.
There are so many thoughts popping into my head because you mentioned Stevie Wonder. There's Lisa Loeb's Stay. Yes, absolute legend indeed. So many great artists. There was an artist that I discovered, well, I didn't discover her because I'm not a scout, but you get what I'm saying here. I discovered her back in maybe about 2000. Her name is Dana Glover. She's a former model, and she hails from, I think, the South, so she's North Carolina.
Yes.
She's a model. The girl is gorgeous, and she had one album, and I don't know why it's just one.
The song in the tub. Oh
Thinking
my gosh.
Over?
No.
I bought the album.
Was it Thinking Over?
I bought the album. If you hear Dana Glover's voice, guys, listen to me. Go check out Dana Glover. Yeah. Seriously. When I heard it first, I thought, is she related to Danny Glover? But no, she's of the wrong race. She's white, people. She's white.
She's not of the gloves.
Yeah, she's absolutely gorgeous. And her voice, you cannot mistake it. Honestly, so unique. And she plays the piano, so she writes her own music. Artists are always better when they do that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It inspires them some more, I think, because they can
Yeah.
sing and play at the same time, so they know how it sounds.
Absolutely.
Like your fave, Ryan McKnight.
Ryan McKnight. Jamie Cullum is also another one of my favorites, not just because we share the same name. Hey, Jamie. We're bros, right? We're bros. You're in the UK and I'm here, but we're bros. Different races, but we're bros anyway. Hey, I've sung some of his songs. Absolutely great jazz artist, self-taught musician. You wouldn't get that when you hear him play because he's just phenomenal. So some of our favorite songs, we've shared them with you. Let us know what your timeless songs are at Studio 327 Inc. We'll be back in a moment, guys.
Do you know that common baked goods such as bread and crackers are high in salt? Get salt smart.
As a hypertensive patient, in my home, I reduce salt intake by not adding salt during the preparation of my food, not having a salt shaker on my table, limiting the consumption of salty snacks, and choosing products with low sodium content. That's why I am salt smart.
You ever hear Earthquake call and say, "Hello, Miss Lee, yes, it's me, Earthquake, I come in Tuesday around 10? No, sir. Earthquake does arrive unannounced, and when it come, it shake all sense and sensibility out of we. Remain calm, stay inside, and do the DCH. Drop, cover, hold on. Once the shaking starts, you know it's earthquake. Make a quick move to a safe place. Don't run to the door, we are in the exit. Stairs might block up or full of people. Elevator, avoid that, because you might get in and poof, power gone, and you're stuck in that box without ear. Take cover under a strong table or a bed, or crouch against an inside wall or in a corner, and cover your face and your head with your arms. Remember, DCH, drop, cover, hold on. Glass windows and doors, outside walls and doors in an earthquake, bad news. Take care yourself. Most injuries during earthquakes happen when something drop and hit people entering or exiting a building. Last thing, nobody run outside and ask, you feel it, you feel it? Remain calm, stay indoors until all the shaking stop, and do the DCH, drop, cover, hold on.
Children, how can you tell a tsunami coming?
Teacher me.
Sammy?
My mother said, when uncle jump in the pool and the water spoosh out, that's how you tell a tsunami coming.
Settle down, children, settle down. Do you remember our tsunami song?
Yes! When you feel it shaking and it's moving around, you see the ocean gone like the fish on the sand. You should run, run, run to hide on, a tsunami soon come.
Mommy, Uncle not here and the other shake.
Hush your mouth.
Daddy, Uncle not here and the sea gone.
Who cares? You don't see all them free fish? Quick, give me the bag.
This is how you tell a tsunami a come. Teacher says so. I would have failed in school, you know.
Sammy, come, let me go. They would have failed anyhow. Let me run, see, Sammy.
Everyone is encouraged to adopt a healthy and positive approach to daily life. Here are a few friendly reminders.
When you go to the local market and food vendors, remember to maintain a social distance of 6 feet or 2 meters apart. And always wear your mask.
Always keep your hands clean. Wash your hands with soap and water, or use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer.
When dining, choose restaurants with staggered seating. This will lower the risk of transmission.
If you have a fever, cough, or other respiratory symptoms, please wear a mask and seek medical care immediately. Rest at home and do not visit the food vendors, local markets, or restaurants.
veggies for dinner. Let me just check the amount of sodium in this can. Oh no, this is too much. Let me try our next option. They did say it's healthy to consume less salt. This is much better. I am salt smart.
Welcome back to Good Morning SKN. The National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, conducted an emergency response evacuation process exercise of District 4 on Friday, the 25th March 2022. Today, for Good Morning SKN's Reflections, we warmly welcome Ulrika Lennon-Petty, Planning Officer, and Clarissa Langley-Stevens, Deputy National Disaster Coordinator, to talk all about this. Good morning, ladies. Welcome to Good Morning SKN.
Good
morning. So, we're going to delve into this right away. Tell us what took place during your emergency response evacuation exercise in District 4.
Okay, so on Friday, just after we would have been preempted by an actual earthquake, NEMA engaged in a Caribbean Wave 2022 tsunami emergency response exercise. And what that was, it provided the opportunity for the communities of Old Road and Virtuals to be able to respond to a call from the agency indicating that the communities are under threat of being impacted by a tsunami, and we use a 30-minute mark, and we wanted persons to evacuate immediately and just stand back and watch to see what happened. We were also able in that exercise to be able to test our first responders to include police, fire, Red Cross, NEMA district volunteers of number 4, emergency services to include the ambulance, and community policing within the area, the closest districts that would actually respond to an emergency in that area. So we saw quite a few players, a lot of engagement, but the exercise itself would have really taught us a lot about the objectives that we would have set for the agency to be able to benefit from and to be able to plan for future occurrences.
All right, so can you delve into that a little more first? What are those objectives, and how successful were you or not at completing them through that exercise?
So for each exercise, before we actually start the exercise planning team, we sit down at a table and we work out the objectives. So the objectives for this one, this time, first of all, it was our first nighttime exercise. Usually when we do evacuation exercises, it's during the day, during working hours. So we wanted to see how that would play out during the night when persons may be home or on the road. And so we wanted to test nighttime evacuation. We also wanted to test the knowledge and the response of the residents living in the District 4, the Old Road and Virtuals area. We wanted to know their knowledge of tsunamis as well as the knowledge of the evacuation routes and the assembly points in that area. We also tested, of course, the response of the first responders as well as the Red Cross and NEMA volunteers.
I'm curious though, evacuation routes, Old Road, Virtuals, Main Road, water, tsunami. What are those evacuation routes?
Yeah, where do they go? I want to know.
Well, standard practice suggests that if you're responding to a tsunami being a water-based hazard, you should head to higher grounds or further inland. So yes, we chose Old Road Virtuals because they're actually one of the most vulnerable areas as it relates to the threat of a tsunami. But we also realized that they had several areas that would provide for suitable evacuation routes, because when you leave the main road, you just face the mountain and you go up. That's the rule of thumb. Wherever you are, Old Road being no different. One of the things that we realized with the assembly points is that we selected areas that had adequate land space that could accommodate the population that reside in the communities. And so we would have used abandoned sidings, we would be using unused farming spaces that would have been identified by physical planning with support from Mrs. Petty as the planning officer within the agency. So these places are suitable to accommodate large size crowds. So let's take, for example, if you were in the Bastia area, we're using the bypass road that runs from the airport roundabout right over to the roundabout that heads to St. Peter's. So that's an open space, a very long space, because you know the population in Bastia, especially during the daytime, is extremely high because this is where everybody comes for work. So it's just looking at an open space that is furthest away from the coastal areas, further inland, with adequate spacing for persons to be able to gather.
Well, thank you for that. I feel so informed now.
So now that you folks have had that exercise in Old Road, how did the residents respond to it? Did they actually head for the hills?
Well, we had some of them heading to the hills or further inland. However, the response wasn't as responsive, for lack of a better word, as we would have hoped. However, it opened our eyes in terms of what we need to do in that area, because we were dealing with two communities with two different personalities. Old Road, you know, it's more lively, and so Virtual is a bit more quiet. And so you had those two personalities coming into play. And so we actually had to treat each community a bit differently in terms of how we got the message out that, you know, it's an exercise, you need to evacuate. So, but I mean, even though I said that the responsiveness may not have been as high, we had some persons who actually evacuated. There was actually a lady on the side of the road in Old Road who sells barbecue chicken. She actually packed up everything and went to higher ground. And that was actually something that we value at the agency, because it showed us that she valued her life more than she valued making money. So.
All right, so curious now as to the timing, because as you talk about these evacuation exercises and responses, I'm thinking if they're family members, you know, children, if you picked a weekday when they have to go to school, the next day, if it was at 9 o'clock as opposed to 7 o'clock and you tested this, would those variables come into play? So what time was the test?
So the exercise commenced at 6:30 in the evening and ran for an hour and ended at 7:30 promptly. One of the things that stood out most for us was the emergency alerting mechanism that we use with police and emergency vehicles with sirens, to include police, fire and rescue. We also had Ross University giving us some support in the alert. So it was a good and well-rounded exercise, and we had a lot of lessons that we learned from that experience.
Indeed, there's so much to talk about, and we'll continue this discussion when we return. Stay tuned, everyone.
Children, how can you tell a tsunami coming?
Teacher me.
Sammy?
My mother said when uncle jump in the pool and the water spoosh out, that's how you tell a tsunami coming.
Settle down, children, settle down. Do you remember our tsunami song?
Yes! When you feel like shaking and the spoon around, you see the ocean gone left with fish on the side. You should run, the higher ground, a tsunami soon come.
Mommy, Uncle not here and the other shake. Hush your mouth. Daddy, Uncle not here and the sea gone.
Who cares? You don't see all them free fish? Quick, give me the bag.
This is how you tell a tsunami a come. Teacher says so. I would have failed in school, you know. Sammy, come, let me go. They would have failed anyhow. Let me run, see Sammy.
When you feel the earth shaking and it's moving all around, you see the ocean gone left the fish on the sand. You should run, the higher ground, a tsunami soon come.
Salt is an important part of the human diet, but most of us consume more than we realize.
ever hear earthquake call and say, hello, Miss Lee, yes, it's me, earthquake, I come in Tuesday around 10? No, sir. Earthquake does arrive unannounced, and when it come, it shake all sense and sensibility out of we. Remain calm, stay inside, and do the DCH. Drop, cover, hold on. Once the shaking starts, you know it's earthquake. Make a quick move to a safe place. Don't run to the door, we are in the exit. Stairs might block up or full of people. Elevator, avoid that, because you might get in and poof, power gone, and you're stuck in that box without ear. Take cover under a strong table or a bed, or crouch against an inside wall or in a corner, and cover your face and your head with your arms. Remember, DCH, drop, cover, hold on. Glass windows and doors, outside walls and doors in an earthquake, bad news. Take care yourself. Most injuries during earthquakes happen when something drop and hit people entering or exiting a building. Last thing, nobody run outside and ask, you feel it, you feel it? Remain calm, stay indoors until all the shaking stop, and do the DCH, drop, cover, hold on.
Welcome back to Good Morning SKN. We are speaking with representatives from NEMA, Eureka Lennon Petty, I'm getting it right, and planning officer, and Kortensia Langley Stevens, Deputy National Disaster Coordinator. We're having a very engaging discussion about something that I imagine a lot of people don't think is a threat. Disaster management, particularly as it relates to tsunamis. So let's talk now about the warning signs of tsunamis. Is there anything that we could look for, apart from the fact that the water is retreating and it's heading right, of course, because that one is obvious. I imagine with your systems you have warning mechanisms. So can you tell us about those?
Okay, so some natural warning signs of a tsunami. Naturally, the biggest one that everyone always thinks about would be earthquake. And an earthquake, particularly a strong earthquake, about 7.9 magnitude and above, can trigger a tsunami, depending on the depth and the location. For example, if it happens on the sea, and if it's in shallow water, it can actually trigger a tsunami. And so we tell people to look for a strong shaking of the earth, so strong that we're here sitting, the earth starts to shake, you can't even stay sitting, you have to duck and do the DCH. For, I think it's more than a minute? Yes. It's for more than a minute. Yes, so it has to be long.
Yes.
And then we also tell persons, look for your indigenous signs as well, the animals. You know that before something hits, you can always tell the intensity of it based on the reaction of the animals. If they are, say they're locked up and they're trying to get out, they're trying to scrap, something is wrong. If you see the birds going, you don't see any birds. You see animals just running, something is wrong. And of course, the receding of the sea. Before a tsunami comes, when it's actually coming inland, there's also a sound, a roaring sound. It comes with, it doesn't just come in, it actually comes with a sound. Yeah. But I don't think that you want to be there to actually see and hear the sound, because that might be a bit too late.
A bit.
Too late. But other things to consider that may cause a tsunami: volcanic eruptions, for example, landslides. Am I missing any?
Land, rock, mudslides, anything that goes into the ocean, force that pushes water can create a tsunami. So that's why Kikam Jenny is, something to watch, because it would definitely affect the Caribbean region, and the volcano in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, had it blown in a powerful way, it could have created issues for
Ripple
us.
effects.
Yeah.
I have to say, I feel like we're talking about tsunamis now after what we witnessed, I think it was in Asia recently. Because we saw the footage, so it became more real. Before that, I don't think that we were really talking about tsunamis. So I'm glad that we're actually doing that.
It's the new phenomenon, actually, for not only for the Caribbean, but for the world, because tsunamis was just something, you saw and you tried to figure out, or you had to look for the definition as to what it is, but we're seeing countries being impacted. So we know for a fact that they're real.
They are.
And I think the plus for us here in St. Kitts and Nevis is that for 2 terms now, in disaster management language, we have been tsunami certified as ready to respond. And so we just recently regained tsunami readiness as a recognition from UNESCO, IOC. And what that says is that St. Kitts and Nevis has the basic things in place, including signage,
early warning system, emergency broadcasts, evacuation routes, assembly points identified, maps to be able to be used as education and awareness tools. And we did it, unlike most countries, as a federation. So we did it for both St. Kitts and Nevis, where we are able to determine that if we were threatened by a tsunami or impacted by a tsunami, citizens and residents would have a basic idea as to what we expect in terms of a response. And that in itself speaks volume that we could save some lives. We may not be able to save everybody, but we'll be able to save some. And these exercises that we engage in annually, we try our best to incorporate real life components that we would have to deal with had it been announced that a tsunami would threaten us here in St. Kitts and Nevis. And I think that we are not where we want to be, but we are making great strides. Like I said to the staff all the time at NEMA, is that even if there is no response, that's good for us, because then we know what needs to happen to be able to go back and try and get a response from the communities. Each community in St. Kitts and Nevis is different, has a different culture, and we understand that, and we try to cater our exercising protocols to be able to embrace what the culture represents.
Okay, so you mentioned 2 communities before that you did the practice exercise at. Can you list the other communities that are at risk, that are below sea level should a tsunami occur?
Bastia.
Definitely. Low terrain.
We've exercised Bastia so much that we really had to,
go somewhere else.
Move someplace else. We are looking at Deep Bay, the community of Deep Bay. We are looking at Frigate Bay, southeast. As a matter of fact, if you look at our tsunami maps very closely, you would realize that there are areas of the southeast peninsula, had we been exposed to a tsunami, that would be completely cut off. The road would be broken, and that's in the area of Carambola stretch of road. Yeah, that because it's such a narrow neck, once the seawater comes from either side, it would be broken. And so we have to consider evacuation protocols that that allow us to get as to which parts of the island would be severely impacted. Then you have Sandy Point. That's the Pompey area. Those communities are extremely vulnerable. And there are some communities that are just naturally vulnerable to any hazard that we could name now, because when you look at New Guinea area, that's an area during the tropical cyclonic season. We have to evacuate persons because the seawater level just rise, move through the house, come through the front door, out in the street. So we are very mindful of the vulnerabilities of each community, and we are able to plan, and not only just plan as an agency, but to be able to incorporate our first responders to gain the same understanding as to what might be required with these particular communities based on the hazard that we're dealing with.
All right, so in terms of planning, in terms of sensitizing the public, in terms of volunteers even, what is it that you want the public to know about the agency, and what your expectations or your hopes are from the public to help you do what it is that you do?
I'll let Mrs. Petty take the first one, then
I'll throw me to the fire.
I know.
Well, for the agency standpoint, I mean, we want the general public that when NEMA says, this is an exercise, don't just treat it as an exercise, because that's some of the responses we got. When our observers were on the road encouraging persons to evacuate, they would say, oh, it's just an exercise. If it was a real event, I would have gone to the assembly point. I know what to do. But we always say practice makes perfect.
That's right.
Because in a real situation now, there'll be panic. And when you panic, sometimes you forget what to do. And so that's where you practice, that's where you exercise, because then when the real thing happens, at least you know what to expect. You know how long it would take you to get from point A to point B, and you also know the best routes to get you there.
I think also understanding our vulnerable babies, the elderly, persons with disability. We want persons to understand that we can't leave anybody behind, and so we train you to realize that even in evacuating, you have to take into consideration getting these individuals to safety. It is something that is top on our priority. And understanding the emergency alerts. When a siren goes off, quite naturally says something is wrong. If it goes off repeatedly non-stop, then you know we need your attention.
Ladies, thank you so much. This has been informative, engaging, and there's so much more to talk about. I know we're just scratching the surface, and you know what? We'll be in touch, because I know that you are going to be around doing what it is that you do. So we thank you for stopping by today and shedding light on this very important issue and your work. Stay with us, everyone. We'll be back in a moment for more Good Morning SKN.
Everyone is encouraged to adopt a healthy and positive approach to daily life. Here are a few friendly reminders.
When you go to the local market and food vendors, remember to maintain a social distance of 6 feet or 2 meters apart. And always wear your mask.
Always keep your hands clean. Wash your hands with soap and water or use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer. When dining, choose restaurants with staggered seating. This will lower the risk of transmission.
If you have a fever, cough, or other respiratory symptoms, please wear a mask and seek medical care immediately. Rest at home and do not visit the food vendors, local markets, or restaurants.
As a hypertensive patient, in my home, I reduce salt intake by not adding salt during the preparation of my food, not having a salt shaker on my table, limiting the consumption of salty snacks, and choosing products with low sodium content. That's why I am salt smart.
Greetings, my lovely people. I'm Chantel, residing in Taiwan. 12 hours time difference. It's nighttime here, morning time in SK. I'm busy and on the go. However, I always manage to keep up to date with what's happening in SK. All thanks to Good Morning SKN. Good morning SKN. Ciao, bango!
Salt is an important part of the human diet, but most of us consume more than we realize.
To Good Morning SKN. It is March 31st, which means it is the final day of Women's History Month. We need some more time, please. As we have mentioned several times before, this month honors the cultural, political, and socio-economic achievements of women in history. To commemorate this, we have taken this opportunity to showcase a compilation of the interviews we have had with remarkable women from all walks of life here on Good Morning SKN. Let's take a look.
Ciao Bango. Did I get it right? So many women, Kortensia. So many women.
And all doing remarkable things.
Absolutely. I can't believe that we've interviewed so many of them. So many of them have been here from so many different walks of life, doing so many extraordinary things.
Extraordinary things.
Wow.
Yeah.
I gotta say, Lucine, still love you. Yeah, we get
Lucine
it.
still makes us laugh.
We're buckling up. Lucine, got you?
She still
got
makes
you?
us laugh until today.
Lucine was one of those to remember, of course. Seema Shahani. Officially, thank you, Seema, for my massage at the Chop Shop. It was great. Okay, check it out.
He cannot stop talking about it. And plus, I can see the difference in him. He's relaxed.
Full body massage.
Yeah.
Go check it out, okay? Royal Chop Shop. Oh my gosh, so many women. Jennifer Evelyn, Janelle.
Dale Kelly.
Howell Lake, Dale Kelly. Listen, all of these, Pamela Wall, Queenie G, Mimi.
Mimi, yes, Mimi.
So many women. You, we.
Mimi. Who else did I see that? Oh, Dr. Lawrence. How could we forget her?
How could I forget?
God, she was lighthearted.
You know why I forgot Dr. Lawrence? Because Dr. Lawrence made me laugh. Dr. Lawrence, that 150 minutes a week that you have said that we need for exercise, yeah, I owe you a debt. I remember it every week, and I feel guilty because Dr. Lawrence said it. We need 150 minutes a week of aerobic exercise.
So how many minutes or do you clock, or hours do you clock for the week?
I'm substituting my aerobic for mental exercise right now. That's the excuse. Honestly, I tell you, yeah, it is what it is. But I'll make it up. I will make it up. I know that. So what are some of the things that you learned this month about women that you didn't know before?
What did I learn that I didn't know before? I don't think, nothing I would say, because I know that we will continue to fight. We will continue until we, as we say, shatter or break open the glass ceiling.
I just want to know who you're fighting.
Not the male species, let me say that, but we're just going to continue to break barriers in every single areas that we were not allowed to be in before. So kudos to all the ladies that are working for us. I wouldn't say fighting, all the foundations.
You can say fighting if you want. I was just...
the Seawell, the Artemis, all those foundations that are led by women that continue the fight to ensure that the equality
there's gender parity.
We
definitely.
are grateful.
We missed one because we had one yesterday. Ambassador Rosalind Hazel again of her work in gender affairs and everything that she's done. Yeah, absolutely right. So listen, this just took us back to memory lane. We are at episode 72, so we've actually been with you for 72 mornings. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
And so many different people, authors. We've had Cleopatra. Who's, that book, inspirational book that morning. Listen, I can't tell you. We've had Corinne, little girl author
Corinne.
who is excelling.
She's an author before her mom.
The trajectory, honestly.
As she said.
So many amazing women. We've had, regular Naima Hazal, and an Advancement of Children Foundation as well.
Regular?
Naima Hazal,
You say regular, schmegular? No, she's not regular. She's extraordinary.
I meant regular here.
Okay.
You feel me, right? You feel me. Let's go.
I just want to make sure. And plus, our executive producer is an extraordinary woman as well. How can we forget Alicia?
Yeah, we can't forget Alicia. Alicia makes me laugh.
How can we forget?
Since day one, Alicia, you've made me laugh.
And how can we... Forget the flower.
The flower?
The flower with
the flower,
idea,
the candle.
Making the impossible possible. How can we forget?
How
can we
no, man, this is great. So we're led by amazing women. We have a great team of young women working here alongside us, yourself included.
Lady in red.
You can't see them, and we continue to bring you the stories of amazing men and women, and we will enjoy doing that each and every day.
So thank you for joining us today. Remember to follow us on our social media platforms, including Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and even TikTok, and at our handle at Studio327INC. Like, subscribe, and remember to follow us. Even if you do it physically, follow us.
Kortensia's looking for stalkers. I'm not, but anyway, leave us a comment and tell us what topics and guests you'd like to see next, because hey, we're in this together, so we take feedback from you and we implement it. Let us know what you think we should cover next. And guess what? This is the part where we say see you tomorrow at 8. Yeah, see you bright and early tomorrow morning, where you get to start your mornings with us right here on Good Morning SKN. Have a good day, everyone. Bye-bye.